Okay, good morning, Year 6. So, as you know, we finished our narrative block on the rabbits last week. But before we move on to our learning journey, it's always important to look back, isn't it? Okay, look back at what we've done, what was really good about it, what could be improved so that we move forward every single time we do a piece of work. Okay, so we are going to look at your final narrative outcome, which was your persuasive letter to try and persuade the leader of the rabbits to stop what they were doing to the native inhabitants' land. Now, you're going to see something you've seen before today. So we're going to look at self-assessing your own work. So some of the work that I've seen is great. I gave you some comments on your edited piece of work last week. You then completed your final piece. Now it's important for you to then look back at what you have been doing and to pick out the strengths and weaknesses yourself. Okay, so we're going to look at that in 3 areas. Okay, so what you have learned from this sequence and what you would still like to know. I'd then also think about specifically about the final piece of writing, what went well, and then even better if. And remember, okay, comments about handwriting, comments about your spellings are great, but you need to give clear examples, you need to give really specific details, okay? So I'd like you to, if you use spelling or handwriting, give me another example of something that you think either went well or didn't go well. Before you do that, I would like you to go through and look for a few things within your piece of writing. So my example of that, okay, my example of writing that I completed here is there. Now you can do this in a few different ways. I want you to look for modal verbs, parenthesis, and any semicolons that you've used in your writing. So 3 things that I got you to look at last week before you did your final piece of writing. So you can do this however you want. You could underline it and label them right on your piece of work in a different colour or in the same colour if you've not got any others. If you've got colours, then you could highlight some key bits in there, underline key bits and make a key at the bottom, which is what I'm going to do. So the first thing that I've looked at is my modal verbs, and as I go through my piece of work, I've seen that I've been using a selection of modal verbs, and I want to then look specifically at that. Have I used them well? Okay, have I made it really clear what I want to come out of my letter? Have I made it clear that some of the things I don't think the rabbit should have a choice about, and I'm being really direct with them, really clear, and use the correct modal verbs? Or actually, when I'm looking at it, have I used the incorrect ones? Do I need to edit some of those? So that's one thing I want you to look at. I then want you to look at parenthesis. Remember, that can be done in different ways. Okay, dashes I've used in here. I've also got a chunk within brackets as used as parenthesis, and also another dash. So I've used parenthesis 3 times in mine, and that's something you need to look at within yours. And the final thing is the use of semicolons. So in this section, I've listed using semicolons, and I've given I've used semicolons within the list because within here I've got a comma within one of my points in the list. So remember, if that's the case, we need to write our list with more extended ideas, then we're going to use the semicolons within that. So once you've done that and you've got that there, you're then going to use these sentence starters. You've used these before, okay, to go. They fit into these categories and they're here. Okay, so the first one is more general, okay, about the understanding of the book, understanding of Aborigines, all of those types of things. What have you learned? What have you done well? What don't you understand yet? Then these are specific to your final outcome. So these are specific to your final pieces of writing. What went well? Okay, and then even better if. So I'd like you to complete at least, so by the end of this, I'd like at least 5 sentences, 1 from each, and at least 2 sentences in 2 of your choice. Okay, so again, I look forward to seeing that, and I also look forward to starting a new learning journey with you tomorrow. We're going to be doing the learning journey together with Year 5, so it will be either myself, Mr. Shaw, or Miss Wilson leading the lessons throughout the learning journey. It will still be me for all the reading, any spelling, guided reading, but for that learning journey section, we're going to do that together. We've used the Year 5 and 6 objectives, and we are going to complete that with each other. If you've got a sibling in year 6, in year 5, then it may be that you can do some joint work together, which would be really great, and we'd love to see that as well. So I look forward to seeing the work that you complete around that, and I will speak to you all soon.